All right, Ben, welcome to the Mid Show presented by Miller Lite, special post-game Bears edition. It's the three of us. It's myself. We have Chief. We have White Sox Dave. And it's the day after. It's about 11 o'clock as we record. And it's... where do you even begin? The Bears get blown out again. The last time you heard from us is when we predicted a 10-7 record.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm sure people have seen my post-game videos. I'm sure people are...
You're angry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I don't, like I said, it's one of those things where do you even start to begin? Because it's so unfathomable that you could just watch his team for years and years and years, and you still end up in the same place.
And I feel like a fucking idiot. Like, I really believed, I thought that this would be a new era, a different team, a different look. And, you know, they on paper added all the right things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, the games aren't fucking played on paper.
See, that's where I don't know if you're right.
Why do you say that?
Because it's one of those things where I feel like yesterday I found out I was cheated on in the relationship. And I look around and I'm like, wait, look around here. You're like, oh, this was a red flag. This was a red flag. What did she do that day when she said you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I am starting to question everything, and I'm sick by it.
Let me phrase it. Let me phrase it a different way. Would you rather start the season with this year's roster or last year's roster?
This year's totally.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
But
so to have a much improved roster on paper, and then you end up with a worse looking offense than you did at the end of last year. Like, they took steps backwards. Yeah. They had an offense for a chunk of the season that was able to move the ball. They were able to do things. Mm-hmm. And like, you can say like, hey, like the whole offense was Justin Fields last year at times, and he was electric. He led the league in rushing, all this shit. And it was like, you need to have more of a passing attack, whatever. They went in the wrong direction offensively. It was not about like building on what they did well last year. It was like they were trying to reinvent themselves. So they went from, and that was one thing that I had to take away and a revelation just watching. I fell asleep at the beginning of the Cowboy game, but the Bears, if you're not going to let Justin Fields be like what he does well, which is, you know, run the football and move the they didn't move the pocket once. Then they don't have a single player on offense or defense that if I was the opponent, be like, we have to game plan for that guy. And that's when I was watching the Cowboys Giants. It's like, they got Micah Parsons on defense. You have to be prepared for Micah Parsons and where he lines up every single fucking play. The Bears don't have, when you neuter Justin Fields by trying to shoehorn him into this, you know, pocket type of play, then you don't have anybody that the other team's worried about.
Listen, I want to come back on that, but you're totally right. We came out and we expected the Bears offense to be how it was week 7 through the end of the season.
Correct.
We got Bears offense week 1 through 6 until that Thursday night game against Commanders.
But if you guys remember, they completely changed the entire game plan. So is this on Getsy? Like, yes. Getsy trying to shoot...
Horrendous game. And that's why I say you say that, you neuter him. But I do agree, and this is something that Dave has mentioned, and I actually agree with him, where it's like you gotta start letting him pass from the pocket. You got to start getting him in looks where it's not going to be design runs. It's not going to be something where he scrambles and rolls out and then you get 1,000,000 yards and that's how your offense runs. Because I don't know if that's sustainable. Right?
I agree, but you got to be able to build on what you do well.
And when push comes to shove, you gotta go back to what you did well. Correct. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And Dave said this in the bar, and I stole it from him and tweeted it because you steal things from me all the time. But when they did that, then it was the first drive, and it was 3rd and 1, and they do the gimmicky thing where you bring over Colt. I mean, they had that whole offense. It was like Matt Nagy all over.
It's such a cheap and annoying and easy comparison to make, and I hate making it because it's like it's
true.
Lazy,
it's so
true.
It was soft,
it's so
gimmicky
true.
bullshit.
Yes,
the entire fucking game. Bow your necks
and get the fucking 2 inches
yard. You invested all over. You got Nate Davis. You spent the first round pick. That right side of the offensive line was fucking atrocious.
Chief, that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Is I'm looking around and I'm seeing all the red flags. Where I'm like, oh my god. We had major rose-colored glasses with what Ryan Poles might have done with $90 million. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, it's only 1 week. And sure, I think things will get better. I hope.
Yeah.
Because it can't get fucking worse. But you look at that, like, we were pretty fucking foolish to look and be like, all right, a rookie right tackle and then one guard is going to change the whole offensive line. It didn't.
It didn't.
That was fucking foolish.
Yeah.
Braxton Jones played every snap. He has good durability. Does that make him a fucking all-pro left tackle?
I thought he was pretty good.
He had fucking 3 penalties, Chief. He did not play well.
I didn't think
he did not. The whole offensive line sucked dick.
The offensive line, you cannot say
he looked better. I thought the left side of the line looked better than the right side of the line.
Sure, but that's saying
all right,
not saying much. But the whole point of the matter is, as you look at that, then it's like, all right, this is where I'm saying I'm looking all around and I'm like, fuck. And this is like bottom of the. This is the glass empty. You know, we go and we draft 2 DBs. We spend all this money on linebackers. And our front 4 is just a fucking stack of shit.
Yep.
All right, we get a late signing with Yannick. I think he had 1 sack, but still there were plays where he was getting swallowed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't. And we spent money on Walker. Did he play? Where the fuck was he?
No.
Where was he? And then our 2 down linemen. It was disgusting. The pressure was disgusting. The running lanes, the room that those fucking running backs had, it was non-existent. They came out to the second half, and it was. I just wanted to barf.
And you know that was like part of the narrative. It's like, oh, Watson's out. Basically, everyone else they have as a weapon is a rookie, and tight ends were open, running free. They had, the big play. It was like, whatever. There are broken plays happen, but that guy's open by 30 fucking yards. And and then you look back to the Bears' offensive side of the ball. You know how many times they attempted a pass longer than 10 yards? 3 fucking times. They had the touchdown to Mooney.
Yeah.
They had an incomplete pass over the middle. I think that was attempted to DJ Moore, and then the interception for the pick 6. 3 attempts downfield.
Yeah, you and then the one thing who's a proven acquisition that Poles made over the offseason, DJ Moore, 2 fucking targets.
2 targets.
2 targets. And then don't even get me started on the fucking guy playing on the opposite end of him.
Oh,
he's one more play to getting the fuck off this team.
Yep.
Claypool?
Yes. Get him the fuck off this team. He
was getting bitched on pass protection yesterday. Or
on the screen games,
on the screen game.
And listen. And I do want to sit here and acknowledge one more time that it is week 1.
Yep.
I do. And listen.
But you've seen this movie before.
You're right. And I was very hard on Braxton Jones right there with my comments 5 minutes ago. But everyone on the team, aside from Chase Claypool and probably Eddie Jackson, I'm like, all right, let's get better. You know what I mean? We got 16 more games to right this ship. But those 2 guys, I'm at my wit's end already.
But those are a couple of guys, put your fucking face mask in the game too. Like that's the thing.
That's
it. And Claypool, and I love Claypool from Notre Dame. I thought he was going to be a surefire, like very productive wide receiver. He was good as a rookie. He hasn't really been good since. There's a reason why the Steelers were like, get this guy the fuck out of here with this goddamn TikTok dances. But there were times, and like Fields said that post game too. He's like, look, there were chunk plays in the screen game there that were set up. We didn't block it, and that to me, the guy, I don't know if it's a direct shot at Claypool, but that was.
And I would agree with Fields there too.
The most glaring guy in space. And if you're 6'4", 235 pounds, and you run a 4.3, you should be able to get your fucking hat on a guy and it's wide receiver blocking. You just have to get in the way.
That's it.
Just get in the way.
He was getting pushed backwards and kind of inadvertently getting in the way, but he wasn't even getting in the way well enough. And everybody knows the exact play we're talking about.
And that's just an effort thing, too.
It's an effort thing. Eddie Jackson, fucking dog shit effort consistently.
How about this is another one, too? The Bears did, and I know a lot of it was Fields, but you felt confident when they ran the ball yesterday, or ran the ball last year. They were the top team in rushing. They didn't run the ball well at all yesterday. And, another free agent signing was Robert Tonyan. And it was like, all right.
Where was he?
I just pulled it up. He had 4 snaps in the game. He had 4 snaps. So when things aren't going well in the passing game, that to me, that's a Getsy thing.
And I remember one of them was particularly bad too. Or Tonyan did something really shitty. I can't.
So one out of his 4 plays were shitty. Okay, so 25%. Well, and who knows? It might have been all 4. But the fact that like you didn't use him at all, like could he at least help chip? Darnell Wright's struggling over there. Can he chip somebody?
Yeah.
And can you run 2 tight ends? Can you have a power set where you bring him in motion and run?
Herbert.
With what's that?
Herbert.
That's another point I want to make. I'm ready to Herbert's a nice change of pace guy. But if you want to have an identity and you want to hit people in the mouth, Johnson is the guy for that. He had a couple moments in pass protection where he looked like a better option.
Yeah.
Johnson looked good. I'm not ready to completely jump into that. I'm not saying that's an overreaction,
that's
a little.
That to me is just like Herbert. I really like Herbert. It's not a shot at Herbert, but
I'm not there yet.
He is definitely going to have a role in this offense. But he was the number 2 guy. When all things were equal last year, maybe he's better as a speed guy, where it's like kind of what you're getting when he's on the field. Even like if you're a team game planning against him, like it's going to be stretches. Where it's like sometimes you just want to have a guy you run off guard and you just hit somebody in the mouth and you pick up 3 yards and just keep moving it downfield.
And then I have my third person who I forgot that I'm close to being done with, and that's Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator. Because here's my thing too. Listen, Getsy was fucking awful.
Yeah.
But I thought Getsy was overall pretty damn good last year. So I'm willing to work it out. Yeah. I know people are going to kill me for that because people are so
I think
mad.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I'm not going to overreact on Getsy. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. People are going to kill me for that. I'm not going to do it.
Especially if he flips that same switch he flipped last year.
Yes.
And he figures out, hey, like I know this isn't sustainable, but we can win games with this offense, week over week in the regular season.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm not going to overreact on Eberflus yet because he's 18 games in.
Yeah,
However, the other 3, Claypool, Jackson, and Alan Williams. I mean, that defense was lifeless.
It was
lifeless.
I feel like we don't even have, and you can say that's part of the issue, the energy on the defense.
Let's do something. Draw something up, dude.
I agree with you with
base.
that. I was
bullshit cover too. What year are we in?
You gotta scheme up pressure because like I did, and granted you're watching at a bar and you're not watching game film per se, but I didn't see any creativity to
and Jordan
game
Love's
up in
first fucking game.
Yeah, that's a great
that's
point.
what we fucking throw at him.
I mean,
don't make that mistake either. Okay, credit to the Packers, credit to Jordan Love. They were good. They were better than us. But I'm not walking away from that game being like, oh, this is number 3.
No.
He's in saddle.
No.
He took advantage of
Rodgers' love.
Yeah.
He did what he had to do.
Right.
If Rodgers,
he
the
played a good game. I will say he looked like the quarterback starting his 28th overall game, not the quarterback making his second career start.
Sure.
I will say that.
Sure. But Rodgers starts that game. They might hang 60 on us.
Oh yeah,
they might hang 60.
I mean, there were plays that Jordan Love left on the field.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
It was just truly the second half. First half we battled. You know what I mean? Like the offense was like, all right, let's
trying to find a rhythm.
Figure it out. Yeah, but the defense battled a little bit. Then the second half, it's like what fell apart?
Jackson blew 2 coverages.
Yeah. He did.
And then
if you're a safety and you blow 2 coverages, that's probably 2 touchdowns.
And those are, and it'd be one thing if it was like Brisker and it's like, all right, but like Jackson, like you've been in the league a long time now,
making
like
a boatload of money,
and he's been on the fucking hype train for himself, saying this is going to be my best year. Yeah. Like I'm back.
Well, and that was always the difference, with those when he was great. He was a takeaway machine.
Yeah,
there was a moment in the third quarter. They cut it. And that was the thing too. You cut it to 10 and you have a drive, and you have the nice throw to Mooney in the back, and you cut it and it's like still plenty of time, third quarter, and it's like, all right, let's get a stop here. They went right down the fucking field. It was like deflating, demoralizing, and it's like a fucking course.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that's and Bears fans are rightfully taking a lot of heat. Okay?
Yeah. I'm a fucking idiot. I fell for it. So
yeah, I do. I want to get to that. We'll get to that at the end of the show. We'll get to personal beefs at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But keeping the focus on the team and the whole fan base as a whole.
I think you have to spend a good chunk of change talking about Justin Fields right now.
But hold on. But before we even get to that, Dave, we are used to losing. We know what we are. And we know that the Packers beat the shit out of us.
9 in a row.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's ways it could happen. There's ways that it can't. And that's just unacceptable the way it happened yesterday.
It was legitimately worst case possible scenario yesterday.
The only way I'd say it's worst case is if Jordan Love looked amazing. That's the only thing I think about.
He looked
but it was
9.3
out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad. It was bad. But that's the thing people got to realize. Like, we had it feels like a Nagy and a Trestman day. In a time where you're coming into a season where it's like, all right, the boogeyman, the bad man's gone. It's a new era.
You're at home.
Week 7 through 18, Justin Fields looked good. The offense looked good.
Yeah.
And to go out there and to lay an egg like that was fucking devastating.
Yeah.
And we get fucking trotted on those fucking streams, and it's a fucking firing squad for me, for Bears fans, everywhere.
Yep.
We're a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks.
Yeah. And that goes back to like the Getsy thing too, where it's like I would have, like make an adjustment. Okay. Like they threw it line of scrimmage or 5 yards downfield to the perimeter all fucking day long. They were sitting on there's no shit you're not able to move the ball. At some point, you're down 24-6. Nothing's working. You gotta make an adjustment if you're Getsy too. And it's like, hey, like we got to go back to what works. We'll figure it. We'll get back in there on Monday and Tuesday, and we'll go over the film, what didn't work and why it didn't work. But right now, we gotta win this game right now.
Yeah, and I think that's where you turn over to Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Because listen, we're not in the huddle. We don't know the fucking playbook like everyone else.
Yeah.
We don't know how much Justin's checking down. We don't know how much of it's like, hey, this was designed this way. But Justin, like we said, weeks 1 through 6, that's what he was doing. He was playing casually, and he was kind of letting the game come to him rather than going out and making it fucking his game.
Yeah.
And once he started doing that, he made leaps. Like he made major strides. And that's
the offense did.
Yes, that's what I felt from him. He did not look like he did at the end of last season.
No, but to me, like, remember when they started moving the pocket and it was like, hey, 1 read, 2 reads, go.
And that's where I'm saying, like, I don't know how much of that is.
They didn't move the pocket, I can tell you that.
No, yeah.
How many rollouts how many sprint outs did they have? They had none of that. I don't think they did that one time. He got
sacked for like a 15-yard loss on one bootleg I saw where they were trying to.
But that was the one time, and they just left that the weak side D end just completely unblocked.
Which a lot of times on a bootleg you're kind of supposed to, but it was just like they knew it was coming or something.
That looked like a breakdown to me, but maybe. But it was like that was the one time. You're right, but that's not even really what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there were times like Darnell Wright looked terrible in pass coverage, which you would expect from a rookie, right tackle. He's going to have a rough day week 1. Like that's somewhat to be expected. He looked good on the move, and he had a couple moments in the run game. Like, hey, like we got to protect everybody. Okay, you got to make things easier on Justin. You also have to make things easier on your right tackle. And if you can he's a good athlete, you get him in space, let him like just kind of like hit guys, and just that's what I mean. Where it's like if they don't have a guy that you have to game plan for, they made it easy on the Packers. So at least we know Justin Fields can scramble, do these different things, be the human highlight reel that we saw last year. I don't think they really gave him an opportunity. So I would agree. If you want to say like we don't know what plays were called and what if he was just taking the easy route out he threw it to the backs a lot. He threw it check downs a lot, but you have to like those safeties didn't respect his ability to run the ball, and they weren't like those corners. If they're playing a cover 4, cover 2, they're not like peeking into the backfield wondering if he was going to take off and run because he didn't show it. No. So you have to give people looks and then create space off of that, and they just never did it. They were content to just, hey, like try not to get sacked. His pressure rate, I think I saw somewhere was 68%, which would have been the second highest all of last year. So if you made these improvements on paper to the offensive line and your line performed worse, that to me is a lot has to do with scheme and play calling.
Yeah,
I think I saw after the game last night he had 8 rush attempts, correct? Fields and
9. I think it was 9 for 59.
Not one of them was a design run. I believe it was what it was.
It could be. I feel like I remember one.
Bad.
I don't even need designed runs, but it's more like
I know what you mean.
Roll out.
Yeah, get him in space.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Give
him the option.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so bad, dude. Yeah. Like that's the thing where we could acknowledge, we could step back and be like, all right, like yeah, we definitely bought into the hype too much, and like I said, where you look and you see red flags, it's like we were a 3-14 team last year. You know,
was,
like how much better?
But like so much different.
But like I said, it's not even that. Like all right, well, it was 10-6 at half. We lose that game 20-14, 20-13. And I really think it's a different conversation.
They were more competitive in the early part of last year up in Lambeau. Like that, They were a more competitive team.
They were more competitive at Soldier.
Yeah.
Both games last year were more competitive, for sure.
And that's the other thing too, where it's like you say like the 3-14 stuff, right? And this is part of where like my brain goes, where it's like, they were in so many games. They
dismantled some teams too.
They were in almost every game.
Exactly. Year. I think what do they have like? They were like the opposite of the Vikings. Where like last year the Vikings had like 10 wins by a score or less. Where the Bears had like, I want to say it was 7-8 games where they lost by a score or less. And a lot of it is like, oh, he was trying to throw it to fucking Nsimba Webster, and the guy jumped the route and it got picked. Where the guy from fucking Iowa who fumbled after they completed a long pass for a third down and on 3rd and 10 or whatever. And it's like it's like, all right, well, like now you build off of that, and instead of throwing it to Nsimba Webster in a critical situation, you're throwing to DJ Moore and Mooney, and hopefully fucking Claypool gets his head of his ass, and they drafted Scott, and it was like, all right, like you're gonna, if you build on what you're doing, and you're not gonna have these things where it's like, hey, our guys just aren't good enough in those battles where a guy jumps a route because he sees the guy can't get out of a break quickly and he jumps it, or like that's what I was anticipating, and it was 2, 3, 4 steps backwards.
It's just a fucking sorry team.
Yeah.
It was a sorry team yesterday.
Yeah.
That's all they were. Top to bottom. The coaching staff, the roster, everything was just flat.
Now
and how do you come out that flat week 1 at home against Green Bay? Against your rival.
Yeah.
Exactly. New era.
Beautiful weather.
Beautiful weather. The whole city.
Buzzing.
You know how much hope there was?
Oh my God. I couldn't wait for kickoff.
Grocery store, people in their shopping carts, bear down. And then you go out and you do that. Have some fucking pride.
There was a guy on our flight from Denver who had
6 a.m.
6 a.m. worn to shit like your Bernard Berry and Bears jersey with a foam cheese grater head. Like he was fucking ready. I'm flying back for this game. New era. And
we're all fucking fist pounding each other. Fucking 5:30. White Sox Dave's eyes were fucking glazed over. Looked like he had the suds. It was a fucking disaster at that airport.
It was.
Except for the Bears fan. That was the only energy we had that whole fucking flight. It was 4:30 in the morning. It was all the Bears fans being like, let's fucking go.
Yep.
And then fucking we had more energy at a fucking haunted airport than they do on the fucking field.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Awful. And it's just like that. I'll tell you, I was starting to get pregame jitters a little bit, being like, oh, fuck, here we go. And then when that 3rd and 4th and 1 or less than 1 in the first drive, it was like, oh, fuck. Like this is just what I mean. You got to bow your fucking neck. Don't do the gimmicky tight end shit. Give it.
Tight end.
Signed Dante Foreman too. So they ended up having a pretty equal split, the 3 backs. Roshan actually had the most snaps. He played more in the second half. But it's like you got 2 big boys, 2 running backs, run behind the left side of your line, move some bodies, pick up 6 fucking inches, and let's keep going. And same thing where it's like they move the ball a couple times and it's field goals. And it's like, come on. Like,
I'm getting fucking super angry again.
Yeah.
But it's been like you go to bed mad, you wake up. Like driving here, I'm like, I'm going to fucking scream.
Yeah.
And you got anything, Lance, that we didn't get to?
No, I guess what bothered me so much like yesterday is like, it's like we're here again. Like we're quitting again. It's like we get down, that we throw, we get down a little bit. Then Justin Fields throws a back-breaking pick 6. Like, of course he does. Jordan Love like did a play, fumbled. He was doing a rollout. He fumbled the snap. And as a joke, I went, what? They'll probably score a touchdown. And he threw it to a guy fucking no one near him, literally, and they stopped at like the 1-yard line. It's just unbelievable. Something I think like about that the preseason hype is I normally buy into the preseason hype harder than like anyone. This year I just didn't. Something is like, if you don't have a defensive line in the NFL, you will lose to everyone, I think.
Yeah.
And we did not stop anybody. Like Greg Olsen had said that for Jordan Love, we gave him a dream opening drive. That's fucking crazy. Like, how do you not come out with a game plan?
I was pressure all over the quarterback making his first start.
Yeah, it's insane.
Making it uncomfortable for him.
Unbelievable. Our GM was an offensive lineman, and he just totally neglected up front. both
but did he though?
Not totally.
He didn't neglect it. It just didn't work. He two high draft picks, Yannick Ngakoue, and then Walker.
I will say this is a good thing he didn't trade anybody from what's his face from Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, how about
maybe he should.
I mean, listen, we'll play armchair quarterback.
There's so much more that is after week one that is needed than a rush.
Yeah. We'll play armchair GM.
Did 17 more weeks of it.
Did you see how good Jalen Carter looked?
I did.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. It's just
that ad. I don't. I did see that.
I said all play, but you really?
He was a fat ass and out of shape during, and I would have said fuck off too.
He made moves. So all right, he drafted a guy in the first round, a tackle. He signed a guy from Tennessee, signed a guard.
Mm-hmm.
He signed Ngakoue off, during training camp. He signed Walker as well, and then he drafted 2 rookie D linemen in the second round.
Yeah.
Is that a fucking full bore effort? Or is that like, let's kind of see what happens?
I think if you spend how many D linemen do you keep? 8?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 new ones.
Could be, I mean, it doesn't matter. 10. It's all.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you have a position group that you normally keep 8 guys on the roster and you turn over half of it, including a high price free agent or another high price free agent, Yannick, who's a productive guy, say what you want about in the run game or whatever, and then 2 high draft picks. I think that I don't think you can call that neglecting.
And that's what I backed off that. Okay. I backed off neglecting, but I'm just saying I wasn't
maybe he missed.
It wasn't a full bore like we're gonna figure this the fuck
out. Win
like
in the fucking trenches.
We're throwing draft capital and money at this problem because it's very important.
Can I remind you of one thing you said last week?
He did at linebacker.
Yep.
He did at other positions.
I will remind you of one thing you said last week.
Yeah.
Maybe this will not brighten it because you can't brighten it, but it's like this is a 53-man project, and with the draft capital that they still have next year, and maybe Pohl sees it that way too, where it's like, hey, like I don't see the value. I see the value at linebacker, so I'm gonna invest there now. And he didn't give it to Roquan. He's got 2 very good players for less than that, and I just don't see the value there right now. At this moment, I'll address that year 2 of this project. I think that could be a thing, and we'll figure out about Fields this year, and we'll go from there. But this is the project. You could argue, as bad as it was, is still kind of on the train tracks.
Yep. And listen, I'm sitting here and I'm speaking based on one game.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep saying that. And it's
not one game though. It's one game into like.
It's
sure,
also,
listen.
I also think if they had played the Denver Broncos and lost 38-20 instead of Green Bay, it's a different tone.
I don't know.
Slightly different, yeah.
Well, it's always going to be with Green Bay, but like
it is.
Green Bay was not. A lot of people were picking Green Bay to finish last in the division. Everybody saw the graphic yesterday. Not one analyst or expert picked Green Bay.
I agree.
It was
embarrassing.
The worst case scenario yesterday. It'd be one thing if they lost 38 to whatever and Fields threw for 300, 3 touchdowns on a pick. It wasn't. It was worst case scenario. Fields looked like asshole. The offensive and defensive line looked like asshole.
And to come
Eddie
back
Jackson,
to regular ground.
Yes.
I'm not completely done on this whole thing yet. Like that's not where I'm at all. I'll
say this. You said you woke up and you're starting to pinpoint. I've been there as a fan, and that's like step 1 of you're completely fucking apathetic and done until
you're right.
ownership changes.
You're right. And
A.K. George at this point.
And it's hard because I'm sitting here and it's like you said, like going back, I know we just did that podcast on Thursday because we're getting riled up, like we're going down the schedule, and we said what we said. But going in, if you listen all summer, if you listen all winter, just being competitive and fighting for a wild card spot is what we really expected this year. That was it. And then let him have another offseason, and let's see where we're at. Let's see where Fields is at. Obviously, you're going to have the Carolina pick and our pick. Mm-hmm. Who knows what happens? Let's assess for 17 weeks and see what happens.
Beating Green Bay was part of that equation, though. In my head, sure. Like you don't
see. I think it, like I said, if you put up a good game and we lose, we've done that. Like that's.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with losing, but I'm not throwing chairs.
Mm-hmm. I know, but it does, right.
I'm not throwing chairs.
It did feel like a little bit like a linchpin game though, because now it's like if you win, now it's like I'm already in my head. I don't even want to say this out loud. I am going to bet the Bears next week to go down there. The way the NFL ebbs and flows, Bucks beat the Vikings.
Bucks got a good defense. They did that to fucking the Vikings. The offense.
I agree.
What are they going to do to us, Ryan?
I agree. Oh, I got a Ryan. You know he's mad at me.
Well, I'm going to get into you now, too.
Yeah, all right.
Because you know what I say to him all the time? Is like, he's got the fucking dark voodoo black mush.
Yeah.
And I think that, as a Bears fan, I think your bravado to some of this, like I always say, like, come on, 10 wins.
That was an absurd fucking statement.
Hey,
shit like that.
I fucked up. What do you want me to say?
I think that is mushing us, too.
I don't think it's a mush. I'm an optimist by nature. I can't help that.
But you know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, you do.
You think it's a conscious decision? You think I want to feel this way after? Like I don't want to look like a fucking idiot, but I believe.
But when I try to fucking correct course and I try to be like, all right, what happens when the train, like the tracks move a little bit? When I try to do that, then it's like, oh, here comes fucking negative Ed. Here he comes.
Yeah.
Listen, there's some feng shui, some funky shit with this franchise where you can't fucking trust anything you hear or you see. You just can't.
I've been saying this for years, and you guys have been giving me shit.
And I sat there, and you were like the most non-optimistic on Thursday.
I would say the most realistic, I was like, based on everything you just said, because it's some organizations, and you know them when you root for them, especially. And I root for one of the worst. I know a shit organization when I see one. This might be one without, but this is like beyond repair.
One of those things where it's like you can't like. Yeah, 30-something new players. It's like everything is new. Like, shut up for a second. I don't want to hear about Mark Trestman with this team. Like, Mark Trestman has, in reality, he has nothing to do with this group.
Nothing.
But this is where
the
like
stink in the
juju. I understand, but like in my brain,
real thing.
I think you guys think about the past too much. Where I'm like, that happened to somebody else. This is a new group of guys.
You were thinking about it incorrectly.
I'm thinking about it logically.
Logically, yes.
But that might be incorrect.
That's incorrect.
It's incorrect. It's logic. It's logically sound, but it's incorrect.
Yeah,
you said it perfectly.
Thank you.
That's exactly what it is. Everything like Mark Trestman doesn't have anything to do with this team, but he has everything to do with this team.
Yeah.
So does John Shoop and Jerry Angelo and
exactly.
It's
right.
everything.
Right, and that's
it's
wrong.
Everything.
And that's
but
wrong.
It's right.
But it's right.
But like it all happens. Like you sit there, you hear a Fields quote, like see a Fields video from the offseason, everyone's like, oh, like this. But like same shit happened with Mitch.
I also
shit. Like everything.
I never believed in Mitch. I believe.
It's different.
I still believe in Fields. If you can pull tweets of mine from draft night, I never liked Mitch. I really still do. Like I just thought that was a shitty game plan. What's that?
You just got to reel you in a little bit sometimes, and you got to be like, all right.
Yeah,
all right,
guys.
Dad. All right, Dad. Like you know.
But like I also like I don't want to be a person who is just sitting around like waiting to be miserable.
But we're not, though. We're pretty fucking fair, I think.
I think the people in this room, sure, but I think that there are a lot of people being like, he's a fucking running back, and they're never going to get it.
Agreed.
Like some people are. I don't think the Bears are as incompetent as the White Sox in a weird way.
It's hard to be when everybody spends the exact same amount.
Yeah,
the White Sox are an anomaly. Like they're just the weirdest franchise of all time.
Yes, and I feel like there is a way, like I don't, and it's like I know, it's like we just said. Logically, I'm right, but I'm wrong. Okay, and I liked the moves that they did in the offseason.
As did I.
And I feel like the schedule's not great, and I do feel like there is a tendency, and maybe I'm guilty of this on the other side, where you only focus on your team, and it's like, well, we got this problem, we got that problem, we got X, Y, and Z is But it's like every other team, aside from like the top 2 or 3, is going through the same thing.
Yeah. But you're right. But we lost the floor. And that's why we're having this conversation. Yeah. If we don't lose the floor like we did, it's a totally different podcast. I know. It is. That's what we lose. We're not talking about any of this really. Yeah. This is totally, well, how about this play? You could, let's go back to these 5 plays. If we do these 5 plays different, the Bears win. Yeah. We haven't even really fucking sniffed any of that.
They were
because of how bad it was.
Gutless. That's why. Yeah. They were gutless. So it's like you can't nitpick plays when it's like you don't do the baseline competitive things.
Yeah, like that's why all this shit gets into your brain, like Dave was saying. And when you get to that point, you're heading in a scary direction. Yeah. Brian Daboll, Doug Peterson, I saw this post. Kevin O'Connell and Mike McDaniel hired in 2022, all head coaches that made the playoffs. Eberflus has won 3 games. Like, we're not talking about that if the Bears lose 2013 and they look fiery. We're just not.
Well, and that was like the thing where it's like they had that. Remember someone gave Fields a bump when he was running out of bounds. This was in the first half. Yeah, he was scrambling. He ran for like 7 yards, got bumped out.
DJ Moore got a penalty, I think, right?
He did. Claypool got one.
Well, but it was DJ Moore, but I think they fucked up and blamed Claypool.
Okay,
whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they called on Claypool. DJ Moore had to bump the guy again late, but like the whole offensive line ran over. It was a skirmish on the sideline. It's like, all right,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
All right, like I like that, a little hockey mentality. Like you don't fucking touch our guy. And it was like maybe this team will have some fight because I think they were already losing at that point. They already given up they scored on their opening drive. You know the Packers with Aaron Rodgers last year had 1 opening drive touchdown all of last year. 1.
Was it against us?
Probably.
It probably was.
So now they matched that total in week 1 against the Bears. But it was like I liked that response where it wasn't like an egregious hit or anything.
No, it was a clean hit.
Fine. It was a clean hit. But I didn't like it.
No, exactly.
And I liked the response because it was like, all right, we're gonna have that's our guy, that's our franchise. Yep. We're not gonna let anybody take any liberties with him at all, even if it's inside the rules. Fuck you. And then it all disappeared after that.
It almost like I asked the question after, like, was that just all fake because that's what they're supposed to be doing?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and then to make matters worse, I walk in this morning, fucking Nikki Smokes is smiling at me.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Nah, not fuck anyone who's just smiling at you.
Yeah, well, because he knows what he's doing.
Well, that's whoever. I mean, he's not going to be the only one. He was just the first one I saw today. You know,
all those fucking
10 a.m. He's got, and Dolphins look good, so credit to him.
Having all these people here has made it so much worse.
So much worse.
It makes it very, very
and I like
bad.
talking ball with Nikki, but like, that's just not what I needed.
Yes, they look at you like with sympathy, not with like.
I want Clem here right now.
That's what I see. Yeah, we need. Just see, I tweeted at him. I was like, "This is where it's a shame. I live 12 hours away from you because." We would ride this out at a diner and just listen to The Offspring and just fucking eat pancakes till we're happy, you know.
Yeah. Turn the page, time rolls on.
All right, I think that's about it, right? We could wrap this thing up, but man, we gotta look better this week. That's the only thing to say is we gotta look better.
You gotta have some pride.
Yeah,
you gotta have some pride, and that's. I hate when that's like the baseline thing. Just fucking compete. Yeah. Just fucking compete.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you mail it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks as always to Miller Lite.
Love Miller Lite.
Yeah, obviously you guys were at the Barstool bar. Had some cold ones.
Always.
I was here watching. And really whatever you're doing, whether you're watching Red Zone or the Bears or whatever, you need to have a nice ice cold Miller Lite by your side. Speaking of which, we'll have more details on tomorrow's show or Thursday's show, but I believe we'll be watching this weekend's game at Bourbon Street in Marionette Park. So come on out with Miller Lite. We'll be having a good time.
Love Bourbon Street.
I'm sure there'll be some swag there and whatnot. And just massive Southside bar that everyone knows. It's a famous bar.
Yeah, it's where Wishfest usually is.
Yes. Yeah. So come on out. We'll drink some Miller Lights and we'll try to get this train back on the tracks, man.
I also think that is the largest bar that's ever been built.
Oh yeah, it's a Walmart.
It goes on forever.
It's awesome.
It funds the city.
So we'll be there. I don't know if you'll be able to find us because of the way that bar is, but we will. I promise we're going to be there.
They will. But yeah, just make it Miller time all season long. Get it delivered to your door when you go to MillerLite.com/redline, or you can find it anywhere they sell beer. Just make sure you celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories, 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. For Eddie, Chief, White Sox, Dave, even Danny's mad. and our guy Lance. That's this Bears post-game show, and we'll figure it out as we go along, I guess. So
yeah,
that's all we got. Bear down.
Bear down.